Have you ever felt that your partner was emotionally abusing you? Have you ever felt that what they said or the way they said it cut you so deep that you would have, it should have left a scar, but because it's on the inside, it didn't? If you have felt emotionally abused by your partner, there's a good chance, a high chance, that there's emotional resentment within your relationship. Now, as a psychotherapist, I work a lot with emotional resentment. And I have to say, it's probably one of the most common emotions that I witness, not only in other people, but I've had it myself. And my guess is you have too. Now, I like to think I didn't emotionally abuse anyone with it, but I could have, and I may have. I didn't hear their side. But I want to talk to you about what resentment is, and then I'm going to go into how it might feel to the guy or to the woman if they're being emotionally abused by their spouse. And at that point, I would really encourage both of you to sit down and talk about your resentment and what you feel. Resentment is a misguided attempt to transfer pain, your pain, to someone else, specifically through shame, the failure to feel good, to create more value, meaning, and purpose in your life. So blaming this core value on someone else justifies a sense of self-righteousness along with a low-grade anger in the person who is struggling with resentment or who feels it. And what this eventually leads to, this self-righteousness, is that basically there's an empowerment because you feel justified. It's short-lived because what you end up doing is moving the other person further from you, tearing at your trust, and not only that, but making that emotional connection impossible. So you might say, well, Mary Jo, I've felt that way, but I don't think I ever emotionally abused anyone. And I understand that. I get that. So let's talk about, here's how to tell if you're an emotionally abused man or woman. And I'm going to go through the man first, okay? This is what you're probably going to feel. Does it feel like your wife or girlfriend pushes your buttons? Does she have a way of putting you in a bad mood? Are there times when you don't want to speak to her or be around her? Do you feel like you overtook a lot, or you swallowed a lot of stuff that you didn't want to, feelings that weren't yours until you can't stand it anymore? Does she frequently do things the wrong way? Can you sometimes have a nice time and then out of nowhere, she says or does something that sets you off? Are you sometimes on edge about having a bad or unpleasant evening? Does it feel like you have to criticize her for not being more efficient, more reliable, or a better person? If you answered yes to any of these above questions, there are some things that your wife or girlfriend probably says about you. He's so moody. He doesn't see or hear me. I can't be myself. I have to think, feel, and behave the way he wants. Nothing I do is good enough. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. So guys, if that explains what you're feeling, then this is what your partner's getting. And this is emotional abuse. It qualifies. Now for women, if you're feeling these things, then let's talk about what your man is probably feeling. Do you sometimes make your man feel like a failure as a provider, partner, parent, or lover? Do you feel like you have to tell him the same thing over and over again? Does he tell you that you sometimes yell and scream or lash out at him? Do your girlfriends ever remark that you might treat him badly? Do you automatically blame him when things go wrong? Do you resort to name-calling, swearing, or putting him down? Do you demean or belittle him in front of other people or your children? Do you threaten to take his children away so he will never see them again? Are you often jealous and want to know where he is at all times? Would your family and friends be surprised to know how you treat him behind closed doors? If you answered yes to any of these, here are some things that your husband or boyfriend probably says about you. She's a nag. She's so moody. She's so unpleasant to be around. I just want her to leave me alone. Nothing I do is good enough. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. So you see, your partner would feel emotionally abused if you felt the things you were feeling, because more than likely that's seeping out. So what is the answer? How do we stop it? Because you can't turn resentment off. Resentment responds to self-compassion. Resentment responds to you taking care of you and saying, God, I have these expectations, I have these needs, and they're not getting satisfied, and I just feel so angry. And what do you do when you're angry? You practice letting go. You practice letting go by breathing. You practice letting go by talking to a therapist. You practice letting go by, first of all, accepting you're angry, validating the anger. This is just an emotion. And then stopping it short of putting that shame, that anger, that emotion on someone else. Is it easy? No. But there's support groups for couples, there's support groups for individuals, and there's therapy. And if it were me in my marriage and I had an excessive amount of resentment right now, then I would get in touch with it. And I'd say, I'm changing my life. Life is too short. I can't do this. But I do want to warn you, we all have resentment. Every one of us. I have it too. And I have to stop myself. And I don't like it. I get anxious. I feel mad at myself when I have it. And then I kind of go through my process of self-awareness, acceptance, and I try to remind myself, I can't be all things. I'm not perfect. I mess up. I'm very weak in these areas. And if the person I reach out to is upset with me or demeans me, then part of that is I have to respect myself enough to say, well, you can say that because that's true of me, but this is more about you. This is more about your time, about what you're angry about. And I'll work with you to fix this, but I don't want you to put this on me because I got enough on my own plate. So remember, resentment kills everything, and it kills love, sex, and trust. And you need those things in a relationship to make it work.